Hello and welcome to episode 4 of season 2 of On the Air with myself, Ian.
Hi, Mike.
And we are most certainly top of the league.
Oh, shut up.
We are top of the league. We are top of the league. We are top of the league. Mate,
I mean, fair play to West Ham, man. They definitely deserve it at the moment.
you're almost bottom.
Yep.
And
on goal difference.
All I would say is if you want Arsenal to continue to be at the bottom, then what you need to do is make sure you're subscribed to FDT-TV. Go over to the YouTube channel, click on the big gold cup and you'll see our subscribe button. Our aim is to get to 100 subscribers before the end of the January transfer window. And we're very, very close, so please go over and support us. It makes us feel good about ourselves, unlike some of the comments that people leave. Remember that one about cricket? Still don't know anything about cricket, and you've got the hundreds on at the minute. But seemingly, I've gone away and learned something about football because we missed last week because there was other things going on. But Mike, scores update.
Okay, so apologies for missing the last podcast. All will be revealed shortly. But going back to the first legs of the Premier League fixtures, Brentford versus Arsenal. What a fucking shit game that was. Excuse my language. We were diabolical. We have got a depleted squad due to COVID and injuries, etc. No excuse though. Ian, you had a 2-0 win to Brentford. I had a 3-1 to Arsenal. The score was 2-0, so 3 points to you. Newcastle versus West Ham. You had West Ham as 1-0 winners. I had a 2-2 draw. I believe the score was 4-2 to West Ham after going 2 down, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely romped it back. 1 point to you, 0 points to me. So for that particular game week, 4 points to Ian in the season totals, and Ian, you are currently top of the league.
We are top of the league.
That's the only reason you wanted to do
that.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah. In fairness, I think we're quite lucky that we didn't make predictions for last week. I was going to ask, but say other pressing issues that needed more attention at the time, because I was going to go for Chelsea 2, Arsenal 0.
Oh, bloody good! I'm glad we didn't then.
So I was like, do I say it? And I thought, no, I won't. I won't say it because I'll feel bad if I get it right. But Lukaku, I mean, we knew he was going to score against you. He liked a goal. But
he's different class, man. Like, since you look at him for when he first played at Chelsea, look at Everton, look at Manchester United, and then you look at the player now.
Yes. Oh,
he's absolutely phenomenal. He's a different class. He's got the build. He's like Lacazette meets Aubameyang, but into one. So he's got pace, he's got power, his hold-up play is brilliant.
And he knows better.
He's got an amazing football brain, gets goals. He's going to be the reason that Chelsea win the league.
I think Chelsea are currently the team to beat. I mean, they were good last year, but they had Timo Werner who couldn't seem to find the net. And the goal that Lukaku put in wasn't particularly fancy. It's what's been served up on a plate over and over again for Werner, and he's just not been able to put it in the net. It may mean we see the best of Timo Werner, though, if he stays, because the pressure's not on him.
Yep.
He's just there to come on, make an impact as a sub, just use sheer pace against tired defences. But obviously, I feel that the Arsenal performance, I want to say improved versus Brentford, considering the quality of opposition that you faced. But just for me, it felt like there's no plan.
No.
Apart from play it out from the back, there's no plan. Once you've got that far, and I mean Rob Holding. I like Rob Holding, but if he continues to play like that, then
I think if any of the defence plays as well as they did, we are in danger this year. There's no two ways about it. I think for the first 10, 15 minutes, I think we had kind of like a false confidence, obviously, with the fans being back in the stadium, full capacity for the first time in like 500 odd days, which is phenomenal. But it was just a simple defensive error for the first goal. When Lukaku put it in, I was pretty much screaming at the telly going, that's offside, that's offside. Then they showed a better angle, and you can see Cedric Suarez about 40 yards behind the goalkeeper, to playing everyone offside, everyone onside, and it was gut-wrenching because some of the goals that we have conceded already and in pre-season were due to poor defensive decisions. And it's going to be one of the things that bites us in the arse this year. It really, really is. But I think in the defence of the gaffer, granted there have been a couple of times already this season where I've been close to jumping on the Arteta out bandwagon. He has got a depleted squad at the moment. When you look at the likes of Aubameyang missing for the first game due to COVID, Lacazette missing due to COVID, Ben White's now missing. Our £50 million signing from Brighton's now missing due to COVID. We've got Thomas Partey out injured from their friendly against Chelsea in the pre-season. Excuse me. Who else we've got? We've got a few players out, so I don't think it's kind of fair at the moment. They were always going to be tough games. Apart from Brentford should have been a different game. But Chelsea and Manchester City, I think if you ask anyone honestly, even at a full strength squad, they were going to be hard to beat because you've got the champions of Europe versus the champions of the Premier League. And those two teams, granted, I don't think Chelsea were the better team towards the second half of the season, but they have recruited well in the areas which they've needed already. And they had a pretty strong team anyway, and under Thomas Tuchel they've shown improvements. So I think for any Arsenal fan to realistically expect with the team that we had to try and get anything from that game, the Chelsea game and the coming game against Manchester City, I think they are deluded, and it just kind of heightens the whole Arteta out bandwagon, where the kind of catchphrase at the moment is trust the process. And everyone's like, well, fuck the process. And I get it. It is frustrating to watch, but we can only use the tools that we've got at the moment.
I mean, the concerning bit for me, I mean, I'm not an Arsenal fan, but from an outside perspective, is all we're seeing is William being linked away, who, okay, was a bit lackluster last season, but has got quality. Aubameyang and Lacazette being moved to Spain. And it's just like, where's your front line? You experience it goes down to what? Your next most experienced player is Nketiah, who looks like he's going to be moving to Palace. So, and then you've got what, Balogun and Martinelli maybe to play up top. For me as an Arsenal fan, or for if I was an Arsenal fan, I would be appalled by that. Unless you're going to, I mean, I know you've gone out and bought Odegaard now. Which I think is potentially quite a good signing, especially for the price, about 30 million quid, if I'm not mistaken. Can be a fantastic signing. But who's your striker? You've had your Henry's, your Van Persie's, Aubameyang. There's no blockbuster striker to lead the team, and that's a major cause for concern for me. I mean, we experienced it at West Ham. We've got Antonio, who, okay, he's a new top scorer. We'll get into it later, but he's not a Teddy Sheringham. He's not a Jermaine Defoe. He's not a Carlos Tevez. You know, and it's a slippery slope to being. The one season they don't get 15 goals, 10, 15 goals, you're gonna struggle.
Yeah, I completely agree with the likes of Aubameyang. I know there have been obviously the rumours that Arsenal are apparently allowing or are prepared to listen to bids, and I'm in two minds about this particular one, because apparently I think it's like Barcelona are interested in a swap deal. I think with the recruitment of Odegaard, because I know that Coutinho was one of the names that have been banded around in a swap deal, obviously because they can't do anything financially. It needs to be a player swap scenario. But because we now have Emile Smith-Rowe, we've now got Thomas Odegaard. I can't see us going in for Coutinho. So unless someone comes in with a cash bid for Aubameyang, I can't see us letting him go.
What if
I'm being completely honest.
What if they offered you a swap deal with Griezmann? Because a striker out of favour at the minute under his current manager. Would he want to come? I don't. That's the only.
And that's one of the issues. Because obviously there's no, the table doesn't lie, but we're only 2 games into the season. Yeah. However, we've not got any European football, but I can't see that happening.
No. Well, do you know what you've got? You've got West Brom tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
If you lose that in the Carabao Cup, if you lose that, I think you get booed off again. Yep. You lose to Manchester City, and then you've got Norwich, which at that point will become a 6-pointer.
Yep.
If you lose that game,
mm-hmm.
does Arteta lose his job if you've lost 5 on the bounce?
Right, so we're going into the beginning of September because there's a week break, isn't there?
Is there?
After this weekend.
There is. And the red listed countries, the Premier League has said you don't have to send your players.
Cool. So we've got Manchester City. I think if we can scrape anything from that game, because looking at the team news today for Arsenal, we've got obviously Aubameyang's back in full training now, obviously after his COVID issues, and was substituted in the second half of the game to come on. I don't really think that there was enough. I think we were kind of flogging a dead horse at the point he come on anyway.
Yeah.
But you could see he was kind of fired up for it. It's the quickest I've seen him move around on a football pitch for a while. We have got Lacazette back. We've got a few key players coming back, and obviously with Thomas Ødegaard coming back. I don't know why I said Thomas Ødegaard.
Because you're thinking Thomas Partey and Martin Ødegaard, I think.
So Ødegaard's back. Ødegaard's now cleared to play, so I think he might get run out tomorrow. Mm-hmm. But I do see him featuring on Saturday as well. So if we can scrape a draw against Manchester City with some players coming back in, I'll be happy with that.
Yep.
But new month, we write off August completely just because of the shit that we've got going on. I mean, we've still got a week or just over a week, just under a week
of the transfer window
of the transfer market. So anything could happen over the next couple of weeks, and I have heard that they are pushing for some more players. But if Norwich is a loss, we then travel to Burnley.
That's a difficult game, especially low confidence.
Yeah, I completely agree, and it's an away game as well. I think if we lose to Norwich and we go to Burnley and lose, then he's gone.
Yeah.
Completely.
And I mean, we said, didn't we, last year that they're lucky the fans weren't in the stadium, and I think the fans in the stadium have let the players know on both occasions so far that they're not happy.
Yep. Completely agree.
West Brom, I think, will be aware of that, and they're not playing your best football. Still potentially a dangerous football club. You've still got some really good footballers in there, but they need to take advantage of that. The name I've seen linked over and over again with Arsenal is Conte. Obviously, he won the league with Chelsea, didn't he?
Yep.
Would you have him if in the theoretical world that you've lost your first opening 5 games or whatever it is, 3 or 4 games, and maybe got to scrape through on penalties in the Carabao Cup and he goes, would you want Conte in, or is there someone else who you think might do a better job?
I've got to be honest, I don't know who would be available, because if you look at the likes of names that have been banded around previously, with Eddie Howe, but I think he's just gone to Fulham, hasn't he?
I believe so, yes.
So I don't know who would be available that would fit the bill for us. However, Conte, we've seen him have success under the under Chelsea and is available. So I wouldn't see any problems in that. The only thing that I could think would be an issue would be a language barrier. Now, we've seen it under Unai Emery that there has been issues with the language barrier. The players didn't understand what was required of them in training, and we didn't really see a form of identification as to what we are playing at the moment. Mikhail Artesa, I think there was always going to be a question mark over his head because of his inexperience as a manager. Obviously, a very good player in his day. His success with Pep Guardiola, there was a lot of talk coming out saying that a lot of the praise for them winning the championships was due to Arteta.
Yep.
Obviously, the opportunity for him to become a manager has come up. Do I think it's too soon for him to be a manager? No, I don't, because as much as I agree that people should be rewarded on a reward basis in terms of you start and you work your way up.
Yeah.
For him, with the praise that he's got from one of the arguably the best managers in the world, and looking at his previous time at the club, he knows the morals and values of the club. I don't think it was a bad signing.
No.
But I think one of the issues that we have had is a lot of the deadwood from the Arsene Wenger and Unai Emery era has still been lingering around.
Yep.
But I think with players trying to buy into the philosophy, when all you're seeing is poor results, I think the players are going to start losing faith in that. If we start seeing a turnaround in form, we start winning games, the players are going to be happy, the management is going to be happy, the board's going to be happy, the fans are going to be happy. I think it's one of those scenarios where just one spark, I think will change our season. I genuinely do. Obviously, if we keep players fit, but in terms of Conte, he could be. He's a previous winner. There wouldn't be any harm in it.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a really long.
Yeah, no,
that's
fine. It covered a lot of bases and covered a lot of questions I always got asked. I mean, the one thing that sits with me with Arteta is regardless of what's going on, what's happening in the game, the tactic is the same. Play out from the back, ticky-taka it about. And I do think at some point he needs to swallow his pride a little bit and go, right, we're going to play direct and we're going to play fast. Because you've got the players to do that. Your Sakas, your Aubameyang's, even Emile Smith-Rowe is quick, Martinelli's quick. Put in some decent balls and just get a few goals. Once you're winning or on level, do what you like. But
one of the things I have seen over the two games is the same tactic where we seem to run it down the left, everything goes through T&E, crosses into the box, and there's either no one there, or we're trying to put crosses into a box where we're not beating the first man, or our attackers are coming up against defenders that are bigger than them, stronger than our forwards. And that's one of the frustrations that I've seen for me personally over the course of those two games. I think certainly for the likes of Martinelli, who has played up top for both those games, that you need to kind of play to his strengths. His strengths are pace.
Yes.
If you knock the ball past, if he knocks the ball past the defenders, there's not really a lot of people that are going to keep up with him for pace. I'm not saying he's the likes of Henry quick or Aubameyang quick or Theo Walcott quick, but he's got pace about him, which we saw again when he scored against Chelsea a couple of seasons ago, just before he got injured. So I do agree with you that the tactics are kind of a bit wayward at the moment, but again, I do think that we need just one spark and then our season will change. I genuinely believe that, and I kind of want him to succeed. I'm not. I got to admit, under Unai Emery, there were points I was kind of spitting feathers that I wanted him to get out of the club just because nothing seemed to be working. The players weren't playing for him. There just seemed to be no identity. Now I know, as it stands at the moment, he has now got a better winning percentage than Unai Emery, but at least with Arteta, you can see he wants to bring through the youth. He wants to bring through the academy players and kind of build on it as a young team. So I think for anyone that's kind of expecting immediate success is kidding themselves.
Yeah.
You look at Jurgen Klopp, he was in there for 4 years before they won the Premier League, but you could see advancements in that once he started getting rid of the players that he didn't want, bringing in the players that he did want. And they all bought into his philosophy. Granted, they were winning a lot more games than what we are at the moment, but
no, but they weren't to start off with, were they?
No, exactly. And I do think that this is a team that will, in 2-3 years' time, will be competitive. But I just want to see us more competitive than we were last year.
Yeah, and I think that planning for the future is certainly a thing. The players that he's bringing in are all young, hungry players. That have still got the best of their careers to come. But I think for now, he does need to maybe play slightly different, get a little bit of confidence in them. Start winning a few matches, and then the world's your oyster. But
it wouldn't surprise me if we do see kind of like a makeshift, not a makeshift, a changed team for tomorrow. Obviously, we are still stricken by some players who are injured and or sick through COVID, but I think we'll see the likes of Ramsdale playing tomorrow. I think we'll see Ødegaard playing tomorrow. I think there will be changes.
Yeah, I mean, the Ramsdale signing for me, I was saying I was going to come on to, is interesting. I mean, he's been relegated the last 2 seasons. I mean, he's been voted player of the season at those clubs both seasons, but it's not one for me. I will say that he's not one for me. I think, is he better than Bernd Leno? I don't know. They've both got their flaws, but big money keeper signing. Unless there's something they know that we don't, or that I don't.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things. Again, just looking at the age of the squad and his potential. To be honest, I'm quite excited to see him because I know he is going to be pushing Lacazette to get. Like I said, Leno. He's going to be pushing Bernd Leno. But from looking at the Okonkwo that we come up from the academy and Alex Runarsson that we saw last season, those two are nowhere near the level that they need to have in the Premier League. Yeah. Whereas we've got Premier League experience. I know we had obviously Matty Ryan on loan at the second half of last season. But I genuinely believe that Ramsdale will push either Bernd Leno or he will nick his number 1 spot.
Yeah, and I think that's the most likely scenario at the moment. He might get another season maybe at best, but yeah. So
moving on.
At the other end of the table, West Ham have scored the most goals this season. In 2021. Only one team have scored more points than us, which is Man City. How things have changed. How things have changed. I think we're brilliant at the moment. It's first half against Newcastle, as I said last week, was ropey. Didn't look up to speed, come out hard and fast in the second half and dominated that. Against Leicester, if you saw my preview, my concerns were Patterson Daka and Jamie Vardy with the pace, but they just didn't play to that advantage. This is it. I've said it all along. Our problem is playing against people who play simple football. And with Ogbonna, who is fantastic, and Craig Dawson, who's fantastic in the air, neither of them are particularly quick. So, okay, we've got Cresswell and Soufal who can cover, but why would they not put both of them on and just pump balls in and go, let's have a race. Let's sit really deep so they push the line up. Let's have a race every time, because they would have absolutely dominated us. But instead, it was the other way around. It was a Saeed Benrahma and Antonio show. We did see a little celebration from Antonio this time, which was good. A little bit of dirty dancing. He did say in his post-match interview he wanted to be baby, but he's 94 kilograms and no one would be able to lift him. Which fair cop. But I mean, Saeed Benrahma, I said it last season. We saw flashes of it. He's got his goals now, and he's just on fire. He's playing a slightly different position through the middle, and he's been brilliant for us. And long may it continue. I think the only person who will be a little bit unhappy with our success at the moment is Di Canio, and that's just because Antonio's taken his scoring record for West Ham in the Premier League. But other than that, I mean, brilliant.
Do you know what? It's absolutely amazing to see West Ham carrying on the form of what they had last season. Yeah. Last season, they were absolutely phenomenal. Best West Ham team I've seen in a long while. And there was obviously concerns with fans coming back into the stadiums, whether they would get on top of the players, kind of bring their confidence down. But it's good to see that they're kind of keeping up their side of the bargain by putting in the performances. Yep. So the crowd obviously still on top with them, which is phenomenal. Do you see it potentially that once, I'm not saying that things will happen, but if you start to get a string of bad results, that the crowd could have an adverse effect on
one bad result, mate. One bad result. That's all it is. West Ham fans, we are a passionate bunch, but we are awful fickle. At the minute, we are the best team in the world. Now, give it till next week where we lose to Crystal Palace, and we'll be fucking useless and not worthy of being professional footballers. And Declan Rice only worth £2.50. You know, that's how West Ham fans go. We wear our heart on our sleeve, and yeah. It's trouble, but this is part of the thing. Is while we're putting in performances, the atmosphere will be there. The crowd will be right behind the team, and that, as people said when we was at Upton Park, it was a really hard place to go if they were playing well. If we start to play badly and maybe not put in some of the effort, which I don't think will happen, not necessarily they're playing badly, but I think we're always going to put in some effort. Then the fans will stay behind them. If we don't put in the effort, then it will quite quickly turn, and then that onus is a problem on the players, and we will be on them from minute one, and that's not conducive to winning football matches. Mm-hmm. The biggest question mark for me is the Europa League. I know we've got in Areola now, but we've still only got one striker. Yep. We've bought in. Who else have we bought in? I think that's it. We've got rid of, say, a few players. No, we bought in a couple of youngsters. That's it. I mean, we're linked with Kurt Zouma from Chelsea, who I think is a phenomenal signing if we can put it over the line. But he wants £120,000 a week, which it doesn't seem like a lot in footballing terms. It's double what he's on now, but it would make him our highest paid player. And the big concern for that is Declan Rice should be our highest paid player without a shadow of a doubt. He said he doesn't want to sign a new contract, doesn't want to stay, from what allegedly, because the £100 million valuation of him has scarpered any moves in the transfer market. Again, allegedly. I don't know of anyone who's ever actually come in with a bid for him other than just paper talk. But why are we not showing him that what we think he's worth? By saying we think he's worth £100 million, he's £150k a week.
Yep.
Do you know, it's a big ask for us, but he's phenomenal, and we need to keep hold of him. Don't get me wrong. If someone come in with £100 million, I wouldn't begrudge him for going, because you think, okay, they've put a price on your head, someone's paid it, and you're going to go off and win everything. Will he do that at West Ham? Well, if we carry on the way we are, yes, but we've not had a test yet, I don't think. I think the Newcastle one is a little bit hit and miss, because it depends on what Newcastle turned up. In the first half, a few of their players turned up, and in the second half, they were abysmal. And equally, Leicester, since they beat City in the Community Shield, have been well off the pace. And I think they were lucky that it was a very mixed bag of a City side. In hindsight, what was I going to say then? And also, obviously, red card. VAR has done us well this year so far. I think it's going to sort of sidetrack a little bit. I think it's been applied well. I think we've seen the use of the on pitch screens a lot more. Things have been done in a timely manner. Okay, there's been a few decisions where you still go, okay, but there's not been as many.
Yep.
So maybe, touchwood, I was right. Third season is the season that we start enjoying it.
It still remains to be seen, but I completely agree. Just on that sidetrack, that there has been better application of VAR. There were obviously issues last year, which apparently have been addressed, but it does remain to be seen whether that's going to be consistently applied for the rest of the season. But yeah, carry on.
Yeah, but so that's all I'm saying. We're top
obviously
of the league.
One of the things
we are massive.
One of the things I did want to, yeah, we are fucking massive. No, one of the things I did obviously want to ask you about, which I think you've just covered then, in terms of your striking options. They do seem to be a bit thin on the ground. If heaven forbid anything happens to Antonio, do you feel that's at the point that you will start struggling, or
potentially? I mean, if Yarmolenko plays the way he played in the Euros, we laugh him. We've got a number of young strikers. Mippo, who we signed from Manchester United, and Okaflex, who come from Arsenal's academy, but we signed from Celtic. Both run riot against Arsenal in the Premier League 2 the other week. Finished 6-1. So we have got options. Are they ready to step up? Don't know. I mean, we're still being linked with Lingard, so you think there are players there. Other players are chipping in with goals and assists this season. The bit that gets me is he's known for his injury record. And David Moyes, okay, I think it was right to keep him on the time that he did on against Leicester. But he's leaving all of his substitutions really, really late. Sort of 75th, 80th minute. And you think, is that good squad management, knowing that we've got at least a minimum of an extra 6 games?
Yeah.
I think only time will tell.
When's the European competition start?
Middle of next month, I think.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that, but I think.
So you'll be all right up until that point, you reckon?
Yeah, I think if we get problems, that's where it'll come. I really hope we don't, and we can push on and get some decent results. I'm not expecting us to pull up trees in the Europa League, but anything could happen.
Yeah.
Especially if we're going into it with confidence. But yeah. So, shall we move on to predictions? We're not going to predict the League Cup because that's just silliness.
And it's a foregone conclusion that Arsenal are going to get knocked out.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what I would go for. But we have got City, Arsenal, and West Ham Palace this week. So, I mean, do you want to give us a prediction for City, Arsenal, and just a brief rundown of it?
Yes. So Arsenal Man City versus Arsenal, 12:30. We are the early kickoff. I will stop choking on my own saliva for a second. I am happier from looking at the team news today, seeing some of the players that we are getting back from injury and sickness. I do feel a little bit more confident. Like I said, at the start of the podcast, it's only going to take that one moment for us to kind of kickstart our season. Now, do I one for second think that we're going to go and beat Manchester City with the current squad that we've got? Looking at Manchester City's first game, potentially, but then looking at them at the weekend, they looked back to themselves. So it's going to be a tough one. Obviously, I think every time that we go back to, or Arteta goes back to City, there's a level of pressure on him to kind of perform against his former employer. Obviously, where he'd built up a lot of success under Manchester City, but if we do have some of the players back and they are firing, I think we can give Manchester City a game. There will be goals, no doubt about it. Optimistically, I would say, my heart would say a draw, but I do think Manchester City are going to win this. I'm going to go for 2-1. I think 2-1 City.
In fairness, my note I've put here is 3-0 to City. And I've put that, and the note next to it says City to run right against Arsenal that are struggling with a potential banana skin fixture before, and then question marks to rise over how long Arteta has left. That was my initial thoughts, and generally I just go with the gut. It didn't work last season, but it's going all right this season, so I'm going to stick with it. 3-0 to City.
Cool. So the second fixture that we have is West Ham versus Crystal Palace at 3:00.
Yes. I think this is going to be a scrappy fixture. We see Crystal Palace obviously draw 0-0 with Brentford. I don't think they've got much in terms of goal scoring. It's whether we can break them down, because I do think he's going to go with a very defensive setup, considering that we're in form. I've gone 3-0 for West Ham. Our first clean sheet of the season, and I've put Benrahma, Fornals and Souček on the score sheet. But yeah, I think we're going to dominate, but it is going to be a scrappy fixture with a number of yellow cards and possibly a couple of injuries.
Okay. To be honest, mate, with West Ham's form at the moment, I don't disagree with anything you're saying. The only thing I do disagree with is the clean sheet issue. I'm going to go for because you've conceded. No, the only reason is because you have conceded goals already this season. Granted, you are doing a Liverpool of the old where they were just outscoring everyone under the Suarez and Sterling lineup. But yeah, I'm going to go for 3-1.
Yeah, it's a fair prediction. I feel like if we can get a clean sheet in this one, then it's something to push off of again. Another little boost.
Yep.
But yeah, so I mean, Harry Kane. Can we just mention him quick before we wrap up?
Yeah, cool.
Spurs fans singing for him, singing against him. Everyone else singing against him. I can't see him going anywhere. Manchester City allegedly have given him a take it or leave it deal, and I think they're gonna leave it, which could mean you get a player who downs tools and isn't worth half as much next season, and they'll want to get him out. What do you think could happen?
There's still a week of the transfer market to go. Crazy things could happen. I mean, all it could take would be to increase an offer by 5 million, and that might be the one that gets the deal, because I think it was like 115 or 120 million, and Spurs are holding out for 150, which is absolutely ludicrous in terms of money for a player. Not in the realms of an impossibility, looking at some clubs' finances and stuff, and their buying power from their owners and all that sort of stuff. But I genuinely do believe he will go, and I think there's going to be possibly 5 or 6 days, and we'll start to see traction on that one. I'll be happy to hold my hands up if we are wrong, but I genuinely do believe that he is going to go before the end of the transfer the transfer market.
Fair enough. And that
transfer window
sort of answers my second point of how is Gabriel Jesus a backup striker to a club that has no other strikers? How's he managed that one? He's finessed himself out of a starting lineup. But yeah, I think maybe the reason for that is there is potentially someone else coming in. But I mean, I don't have anything else to add this week. I really don't.
No, me neither.
I celebrated it all out the other day. So
no, it is. Apologies again for anyone that did miss me last week. I can't imagine there were too many, but if you did, obviously it all will be revealed very in the coming weeks.
Yeah,
no doubt as to why there was the absence there. But normal service to be resumed. Preview video coming up for the Man City game. I have been Mike.
I have been Ian. We have been on the air, and we are FDT-TV. Make sure you've gone and subscribed, and we will see you next week.
Nice one.